new tripod is going to work. Just frame it properly and... oh, this should be fine. November 21st, 1991. Time, 8:43 p.m. Recording for medical students from the University of Missouri. The autopsy is conducted by Jack Hammond. Ladies and gentlemen, it is always worth having a look at the files before conducting the autopsy. Well, who do we have here today? Found on the outskirts of a parking lot near a gas station, where he often begged and insistently offered to clean the windows of cars that were leaving the station. The body was found in a dry field drain. The deceased is locally known as Old Toby, homeless and unemployed for at least a couple years. The body was found at 7 o'clock by Sheriff Matthew Thompson. White male, 76 kilograms, 5'8", age unknown. The deceased is a local homeless man named Toby. Mentioned the rookie mistakes. Oh yeah, that's right. That's my order to sensify you for a few issues. First, due to the... oh, where are the damn gloves? Now we can get to work. We're going to need the camera. It should be here somewhere. Oh, must have left it in one of the drawers. Let's follow the procedure and prepare photo documentation. We must follow the top-down rule. Luckily, we don't have to take pictures of the clothes this time. We are only focusing on the body. Let's keep in mind it's all about the legibility, not the perfect frame. Before we start searching for traces on the deceased's body, we have... voila! Now we move on to the next step, trace search. We're going to need better zoom, and that's perfect. People affected by homelessness most often die from accidents, alcohol abuse, or they freeze to death. Unfortunately, both suicide and homicide are also quite common. Well, you don't have to stand close to be able to smell a strong odor of alcohol and other discharges. There's nothing left to say. Old Toby didn't spare himself. While taking the photos, some entries that could be potentially lethal caught my attention. Let's take a closer look using the magnifying glass. An old wound that hadn't healed properly. It must have been some kind of burn or other injury. Nevertheless, it has nothing to do with the potential cause of death. There are frostbite marks all over the deceased's body, although they are most visible on the tips of his fingers. They can be recognized by the very specific color of the skin. However, the hands tell us much more. By the look of his feet, I assume Toby must have worn uncomfortable and dinky shoes for quite a while. However, such wounds have nothing to do with his death. That's something interesting. While making photographic documentation, ecchymosis can be seen on the deceased man's head. The appearance indicates the intravital nature of the wound. We'll come back later to see if everything is all right with the brain. What do we have here? Yeah, the odor can be the result of alcohol intoxication. The condition of the head tells us it could have been a fatal accident. By the look of his feet, I assume Toby must have worn uncomfortable and dinky shoes for quite a while. However, he could be freezing to death. An old wound that hadn't healed properly. It must have been some kind of burn or other injury. Nevertheless, it has nothing to do with the potential cause of death. That's interesting. Frostbite in New Orleans. Actually, the weather this fall has been surprisingly nasty. All I can do based on all traces on the body of the deceased. The inside should tell me much more. Let's move back to the body. Now let's check the level of muscle tension. This will allow us to establish time of death. Let's raise the deceased's hand. And then let go. The stronger the rigor mortis gets, the greater the resistance from the muscles will be. As you can see, the hand falls loose. The rigor mortis has already subsided. We can then assume that the time of death stated in the files is correct. Let's grab a scalpel. You can boldly cut with the scalpel. It won't hurt him no more. We always start with the neck and move down towards the symphysis pubis. The incision should be deep. Next, we separate the skin and prepare to remove the ribs. The adipose tissue has an intense yellow hue. As you've probably already guessed, we're going to need the scissors. After removing both cartilage and bone tissues, we are actually interested in two things that you can see at the very first glance. The lack of organ congestion means that, although the deceased was cold, hypothermia wasn't the cause of death. We can eliminate freezing as the cause of death.